Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I want to talk about the best electric vehicles on sale in the UK right now. It's not a question that happens often in the comment section or Twitter, online basically, but when I meet someone in person, so Fully Charged Live for example, I meet a lot of people, it's usually, what's the best EV? That's the most common thing. I'm thinking about getting an electric vehicle, which is the best one, or I've just bought this, how good is it? Unfortunately, it's it's an impossible question to answer because everybody's situation is different. Everybody's requirements vary. Do you want a big car, a small car, a fast car, a slow car, 2 seats, 4 seats, 6 seats? So, yeah, you can't really answer that as this is the best one, because otherwise it'd be a game of top trumps and probably the most expensive EVs would be the best. But what I've done in this is to try and answer this question, to give a kind of broad range of EVs and to give you a top 5. YouTube algorithms like top 5s, so I thought I'd do it for that as well. But essentially we've got a small car, a relatively cheap family car, a slightly more expensive family car, again going up in value from that, and finally the 5th, basically just let's spend lots of money, what would you get sort of EV. Now in terms of the metric that is used to judge this criteria, it's the same one that I use for any car review. And any car that we have reviewed, I will put the link to in the description below, so you can see the full review of that specific car, and then you can see why we liked it so much, for example. But the metrics we use are, what's the expectation, what's the reality? What do the manufacturers state it can do? Who's it aimed at? And what then do you get? It's not just about price, although value is a big part of that. It's about having something unique, having something that effectively makes the car punch above its weight, if you will. But by being realistic as to what the manufacturer states it's for. To use an example, the Honda E, a lot of people don't like that because it's got poor range, relatively speaking, to other EVs. But Honda openly came out when it was released saying this is not a second car, but it's a small car, it's a commuter car, it's a city car, it's not built for long ranges. And that's what it does brilliantly. So if you judge it on what it's designed for, it's actually a very impressive vehicle. I really like it. It's just a bit too expensive for my tastes, which is why it's not on the list. So you get my point. That's the metrics we're using, and this is the top 5 EVs in the UK new for 2020. God, I'm so bad at this. Right, now let's start at the beginning in terms of cost. So there's no real order to this. I'm not saying the 5th one is the best and the 1st is the worst. It's just 5 cars across a broad range of genres. But let me start at the beginning. It's a small car. It's for EVs anyway, and everything is relative. Relatively cheap is this one, and you know what? It's just good fun. It's the Fiat 500e. The only version you can get is full electric, and I have to say, it looks good. It's efficient. You get about 140-50 miles in the real world, in the bigger battery version anyway, because it comes in 2 battery sizes. It was comfortable. It was quick enough, and it just had a bit of personality to it. I've had a look online and you can get the bigger battery version for around £26,000. And again, in EV world, for that sort of range and capability, it's actually pretty decent value. For a couple of grand less, you're getting a 24 kilowatt hour battery version, I think, as opposed to 40. For me, it's just, you get that extra flexibility with the bigger battery version. And for the sake of £2,000 or £3,000, it's well worth going for that one. It's brilliant around town. It's good fun, and it has that personality. A lot of cars are missing that. It would have been, if I'm honest, the Volkswagen E-Up/Seat Me clones, but they don't sell them anymore. They've pulled production, and that's a shame really, because they were cheaper, just as efficient, bit old school, and I just enjoyed them. Good range, good everything. But again, if it's not sold, it's not on the list. Moving on, this is a family size car, and actually I've cheated a little bit, if I'm honest. This isn't just one car, it's actually 3, because I couldn't pick one, and I've just gone for the whole group of cars, and it's from one manufacturer. And the reason why they are, well, on this list is sheer scale of value. It's the MG range of electric vehicles. So that's the MG4, that's just about to come out. You've got the facelifted MG5, which is an estate car, brilliant. I prefer estate cars personally to SUVs. And then of course, you've got the SUV, the MG ZS, which has just had a recent facelift as well. So they all look very modern. You know, they haven't got that kind of 2010 Passat look like the previous MG5 did. So that's brought it up a lot. The interior, decent quality. The ride, the performance, the range, the technology, the spec, the 7-year warranty, all of it is, well, I can't really find anything wrong with it. They just get on with it. It just does a job. And then again, it's the value. It's off the charts. It's thousands of pounds cheaper than anything else on the market. This isn't the best comparison, but it does highlight, again, the sheer scale of value that you're getting with these MGs over pretty much anything else. The ZS, the long-range version of that, I've had, again, a quick look online. You can get the SE version for about £31,000. That's not, I'm not saying it's cheap, I'm just saying compared to others, it's £31,000. That's got, I think, 72, 73 kilowatt hour battery. The Tesla Model Y has a similar size battery, fraction bigger, but essentially it's in the similar sort of ballpark. And before anybody jumps up and down, especially any Tesla fans, I am not comparing the Model Y to the ZS in terms of what they are, what they do. They're quite different cars, but just bear with me. A Model Y in the similar size battery, so that would be the long range version, is about £58,500. The ZS, £31,000. Now, is the Model Y, if I give you that option, would you choose the Model Y or the ZS? You would clearly choose the Model Y, wouldn't you? I would. I've got a Model 3. I know how good the cars are. But what if I said to you, all right then, you'd go for the Model Y. But what if I offered you the MG ZS long range and a Fiat 500 electric for the same price as the Model Y? The Tesla is a better car, it's a better package, but is it £27,000 better? Same with other EVs in that sort of genre, the Ioniq 5, the EV6. I would prefer them cars over any MG any day. But when we're talking many thousands of pounds, it's so far removed. You've got to almost persuade yourself that, yes, buying the more expensive car is better. I'm not saying it in the best way there, but you get my point. That's why they're on this list. Affordability right now, with what's going on in the world, in the UK especially, and the prices of everything, value is a big thing, and nobody does it better than MG at the moment. So that's why they're on this list. If I had to pick one MG, it would probably be the ZS. Maybe. Moving on. Next is, well, it's been a favourite on the channel for a while. It's the Kia E Nero, which again itself has had a recent facelift and comes with a few extra little toys like vehicle to load, which for me should come on every EV. I don't know why it doesn't. It's a very, very handy little feature. It's one of those cars which doesn't necessarily win in any category. You know, it doesn't become first in this or this, but it's very high in every category. Almost like a lot of the Skodas. The Enyaq was close on this list, but it didn't quite make it due to the current restrictions on production and how much they're actually charging because you can't get the cheaper version now. So back to the E Nero. It's a good size family car. It's got a decent size boot, good space in the rear. It's quick enough, it rides well. It just does everything really well. Not exceptional, but really well. You've got the 7-year, 125,000 mile warranty, which I won't say is unmatched, but it's very impressive. You will get over 250 miles in that EV in the real world, and probably on the motorway as well. The only thing that made me go for this over the Kia E Nero nearly 3 years ago was partly I wanted a Tesla. I have done for a few years before that, but the supercharger network. Take away the supercharger network or open it up for everybody, all of them I mean, and then it's harder to justify something like this. Moving up in the price now, but sticking with the same sort of vehicle, I'm going for something which we test drove in Frankfurt for a couple of days, and it impressed me to the point where I am still considering, when this goes, getting this one instead. It is, of course, if you watch the channel, the Genesis GV60. It's an Ioniq 5, it's an EV6. underneath. It shares its underpinnings, so it's got great foundations, because the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 are very, very good electric vehicles. This is no different. It's the same platform, only you've got a better interior in terms of quality and finish, the materials used. And it just, I don't know, I was impressed with it. As soon as I got into it and started driving it, it just gelled. I don't know, sometimes you can't really put your finger on it, but for the extra £3,000 or £4,000 over those two I've already mentioned, I think it's worth it. I spend all my time inside the car, so I want a nice interior. If I had to pick, I would go for the Ioniq 5 on the outside and the GV60 on the inside. That would be my the ideal one. But of course that doesn't exist, so I'd go for probably a nicer interior over exterior, because as I said, I'm sat in it all the time. I see this, not what is outside. And quite frankly, I don't think it's bad looking. I actually think it's really good looking, especially in this sort of dark grey colour. I think it looks really smart. Factor in the 5 years warranty, servicing, full package, you get everything all taken care of, and it's just, again, it's a really nice package. Now, this is one which I almost didn't include, but I thought, you know what, why not? If we're spending a ton of money, I want something electric. What would it be? The Audi E-Tron? Close. Porsche Taycan, which is essentially the same car underneath. Again, very close. I love the Taycan. It's a Porsche that drives like a Porsche, even down to the fact that they've moved the batteries out of the way, so the driver sits lower, it's in a better driving position. They've essentially built the car around the driver rather than the other way around. But again, at the price you're paying for it and what you get, given what's on the market as well, I'm like, it's very close, but it's not the winner. For me, if I'm spending in 3 figures and above, without going silly anyway, like Rolls-Royce levels, then it would be the Mercedes EQS. The reason I'm picking this is because when you get inside one, you see what you've spent. You think, yes, this is a very expensive car. I'm not saying you don't with the Porsche or the Audi and a few others. I just think, I can see why chauffeurs always go for S-Class Mercedes. You get in it and you think, this is like a yacht, is this? It's beautiful, it's solid, it's the materials, all the touch points. You can see where your money's gone. And I think that's what I like. Maybe for someone that is as tight as I am, the tight Yorkshireman, I want to see, if I spend a lot of money, where it's gone. And for me, you get that in the EQS. The range, the ride, the whole package. You'd be thinking, yeah, this is an expensive car, and you've spent a lot of money, and it should feel expensive. Things like the Tesla Model S, as good as it is technically, that's not a £100,000 plus interior. I'm sorry, Tesla guys, it just isn't. But everybody has different aesthetics. In terms of build, though, I don't think anyone can argue that Tesla still have a little bit to go. Even with the new S, it's a very impressive car, but it's not at the high-end sort of premium mark level yet. I'm sure they'll get there. So, yeah, that is it. Now, I feel I do have to mention that if your car is not on this list, don't think I don't like it or we don't like it. Don't think it's a bad one. It isn't. It just will probably mean that there's one thing which brings it down a little bit. I don't know, let's pick something random. The Peugeot E-208. For me, that's one of the best looking small hatchbacks that you can buy. But for nearly 30 grand, it's not great value. Same with the Honda E that I mentioned earlier. I would love one of those. It looks great. It's got the bespoke chassis, 50-50 weight distribution. It looks bonkers, but in a good way. But again, it starts at 30 grand and upwards. It's just too expensive unless you're looking for that kind of exclusivity, if you will. But the whole package just doesn't make the list. And I feel, again, I should mention the Tesla just because, A, I have one, and the Tesla community are quite vocal. Well, the Model 3, I bought this one right now, 2.5 years ago, was just over £40,000. If I replace this for exactly the same thing, so that's another standard range plus with no options. I know they've tweaked a few things and you've got a heat pump now, but essentially the same car is £48,500 now. If you add a colour to it, you're pretty much looking at a £50,000 car. I'm sorry, but the Model 3 for me is not a £50,000 car. And yes, you kind of have to recalibrate what things cost now. When you're looking at a base model Ford Fiesta starting at £18,500 list price, a Fiesta base model. You kind of think, well, actually, is it that expensive? You know, things have gone up so much. We have to, again, recalibrate what they actually cost. What is good value? But I just look around this right now, even if I was in the new version, and think, is it nearly 50 grand car? The balance has been tipped. And it's the same with a lot of other EVs out there. Now they've kind of, the discounts have disappeared. The ID3, I know people that bought them for £24,000 18 months ago. Now you're looking at 32 for the same thing. I know things have gone up, but come on, it's not quite there. So again, don't think that if your car's not here, it's not that good. It really is. I could have given a million honourable mentions. So again, there's lots of good EVs out there. There's not really a bad one, if I'm honest. But the top 5 are what I've just said. The Fiat 500e, the MG range, which again is sort of cheating, but there's the 3 there. You've got the Kia E Nero, the Genesis GV60, and finally the Mercedes EQS. I guess if this was a What Car Awards, that would be our top 5. So there you go. Thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully that made sense. I'm sure there will be lots of comments in the comment section. So please let me know whether you agree, disagree, or what you would put from your 1 to 5. If you want to subscribe, click that button, all the usual crap. And if you want to become a member, click the join button, which is next to subscribe, or look in the description below and it will take you to the join. You will get videos early and you will get some unique videos. And I'm also going to start a live stream just for members as well, so they can ask questions and so forth. So again, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.